Y'all, I watched the 2023 Super Bowl halftime show, and I think Rihanna did a great job. She really did. But when I looked at everything else going on around her, this is what I saw. Green coffee. Seriously though, my girl Rihanna, she did an amazing job. My girl was pregnant. My girl was on these floating platforms performing. And let me tell you, just that alone was the show for me. She was keeping her step, doing everything she needed to do. It was a very good show. And if you compared her show to the rest of the shows, halftime shows in the history of the NFL, she was up there. Now, if you had the chance to see the ASL signer, she did an amazing job too. Let me tell you, I saw both of them side by side, and if Rihanna was not on the screen, I was there watching the ASL signer. After the performance, a lot of people were saying that Rihanna didn't do that good of a job, and I'm thinking there's no possible way. So I decided to binge watch all of the NFL halftime shows from 1993 to present. Now, understand, 1993 is the new era of halftime shows. In 1992, In Living Color did a halftime show on a different channel, and they drew away so many people from the audience of the NFL that because of that drop in numbers, the NFL is like, this is never going to happen again. So the next year in 1993, they had Michael Jackson on that stage, and it created the new format for NFL halftime shows moving forward. Now, what I want to do is rate my 5 favorite halftime shows since 1993 to present. And I'm going to do that in the next video. But before that, now in this video, what I'm going to do is some highlights, some things that just stood out to me during the years of NFL halftime shows since 1993. In 1995, Miss Patti LaBelle was up on that stage for the halftime show. The other performers around her, they weren't doing so well. But what really came out or stood out to me in 1995 with Miss Patti LaBelle was just the setup. They had one of the most extravagant setups for all of the halftime shows since 1993. And they basically did a skit based off of the Indiana Jones franchise. Miss Diana Ross in 1996 was also a major highlight. 2 things that really stood out to me from that show was one, when she turned the entire stage into her dress, and then her exit. My lady got on a helicopter to exit at the end of the halftime show. She just flew away. Now talk about being a diva, Miss Diana Ross. 2007, honestly, I didn't too much enjoy the show. There was only one song I really enjoyed because there's only one song I really knew, and that was Purple Rain. But Prince was on stage, and Prince was performing. That was during a drought in the new era of NFL halftime shows, and that was due to what happened in 2004 with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. But Prince, man, I mean, how can you not highlight Prince being one of the people to perform during the halftime shows? 2009 was also during that period of drought after the Janet Jackson incident. And the 2009 show I did not like really at all. But there was one thing that just stood out to me, and it was dude playing a cowbell. Now, come on now. Whatever your talent is, you can succeed. This dude was there with a very good setup just to play the cowbell. What's your talent? It can get you on the halftime show at the NFL. 2011 Black Eyed Peas was probably arguably one of the most or worst NFL halftime shows because Fergie. She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. People were talking about how Rihanna was lip singing and she was doing a bad job at it. Even Donald Trump had something to say about it. But even if my girl Rihanna was lip syncing, let me tell you, after watching the 2011 show, I understand why performers have to lip sync. So in 2011, Black Eyed Peas, 2 things stood out. One was that they actually brought back, they were the end of the drought that Janet Jackson caused, and it brought us back to the highlights and the excitement of the NFL halftime shows. But my girl Fergie, I don't know what's going on with her voice. The rest of them, I think they should have used a little bit more lip singing than they did in the 2011 show. 2015 with Katy Perry. Two things about the Katy Perry show. One was the fact that people were literally on there dancing as trees. Now, y'all remember in elementary school when you had to do a play, the worst part you can get in a play in elementary school was being a tree. Here you had these professional dancers dressed up as trees. And the second thing was the shark on the left that was totally out of tune. That one was a sensation. Everybody was talking about that after the 2015 Super Bowl halftime show with Katy Perry. 2016 Coldplay, and he brought on the two main guests, which was Beyonce and Bruno Mars. Just the fact that those two were set up against each other in what was like a dance-sing battle was amazing. And then Miss Beyonce, this was the talk of the town after the halftime show in 2016, was when Beyonce went to make that jump back up and she fell down and bounced right back up into place. My girl almost embarrassed herself in front of national world television, but she was on point. She missed the jump but bounced right back up on her feet. Now let me tell you, if y'all ever fall down, don't hit the ground. Just bounce back up on your feet like Miss Beyonce. 2020. First of all, that was in Miami, and I was just a couple blocks away from the stadium because I lived in the ghetto. But in 2020, they had Miss Shakira and J-Lo performing. And let me tell you, why was Miss J-Lo pole dancing for her performance? And that also was the talk out of town after the performance. My girl was up there just pole dancing like she was trying to get some money. In the 2020 show, a couple other things that stood out was just the fact that it was culturally inclined. It was like, with Miss Shakira, it was promoting the Latin culture in the NFL. So that was a really good thing. It kind of stepped away from the traditional atmosphere of the NFL and brought in that cultural influence with Miss Shakira and J-Lo. 2021 with The Weeknd. Now, let me tell you, this performance was one that happened during the pandemic, in the heart of the pandemic. So to see what happened on the scale that it happened was amazing. The Weeknd had to perform with an audience that was significantly less than you would usually find in the NFL. But what really got me about his performance was the organized chaos. And the reason that caught my attention is because as a science teacher, organized chaos is an amazing thing. If you can get that to go and make it happen, it's amazing. So in the halftime show with The Weeknd, the way that you saw that was how everybody was just dancing. They split up into different places, like there was no order. But then all of a sudden they came back. Everybody was in straight lines, y-axis, x-axis. Everybody was where they were supposed to be, on beat, on time. And then they had the little glowy things in their hand, which was kind of cool too. And then finally, 2023 with Miss Rihanna. Let me just tell you, that floating platform was it for me. I don't care what else happened in the performance. Even though my girl, was revealing the fact that she was pregnant, I didn't even care about that. She was up on this platform, like flying in the sky and stuff. That was amazing. And then at the end, she went ahead and put on this like red queen coat attire. And let me tell you, I was amazed with that. But just the fact that these floating platforms, that was it for me. Like